We were wrong about Mosasaurus. For years, we've been told that Megalodon was the ultimate ocean predator, the undisputed king of the prehistoric seas. But new evidence suggests that the Mosasaurus was not only bigger than we originally thought, it was potentially more terrifying than Megalodon itself. So let's join Science Revealed as we analyze scientifically, comparing their combat attributes to uncover why this sea reptile might actually be the true apex predator of the ancient oceans. For decades, paleontologists estimated that Mosasaurus hoffmannii, the largest species, reached lengths of around 40 to 50 feet. That's already massive, but new fossil evidence and updated measurement techniques tell a different story. The Penza mosasaur specimen, which measured approximately 12.5 meters or 41 feet, was not a fully grown adult. When we apply the square cube law, which governs how mass increases with size, and scale up to what a fully mature mosasaurus could achieve, we're looking at animals that could reach 55 to 60 feet in length, possibly even larger. A mosasaurus at 55 feet long would have weighed significantly more than a megalodon of similar length because of body composition. While Megalodon was essentially a massive shark with a streamlined torpedo shape, the Mosasaurus had a more robust, muscular body with 4 powerful flippers, a thick tail, and a barrel-shaped torso. Using conservative estimates based on the Penza specimen and scaling up proportionally, a large Mosasaurus could have weighed between 30 to 50 tons, with some estimates pushing even higher for exceptionally large individuals. Megalodon was enormous, with estimates ranging from 50 to 60 feet for large specimens, and weights between 50 to 100 tons depending on the individual. The Mosasaurus achieved its massive size while maintaining incredible agility and maneuverability, something that Megalodon, constrained by its shark physiology, could not match. Megalodon had what we call dermal denticles, tiny tooth-like scales covering its entire body. They reduced water resistance, making the shark faster and more hydrodynamic, and they provided a layer of protection against attacks. Beneath these denticles, Megalodon had thick skin, estimated at around 8 inches in the most protected areas like the belly and neck. This thick hide, combined with the shark's massive muscular body, made it extremely difficult to inflict serious damage. Based on fossil evidence and comparison with modern relatives, Mosasaurus likely had scales that varied in size and texture across its body. Some areas featured smooth, hydrodynamic scales, similar to those found on sharks, while other regions, particularly along the back and sides, had more robust, overlapping scales. Here's where it gets interesting. Some mosasaur species evolved scales that resembled shark denticles, suggesting convergent evolution, where unrelated species develop similar features because they work so well. The Jurassic World version took creative liberties by adding osteoderms, bony plates embedded in the skin, similar to those found in crocodiles. While we don't have definitive fossil evidence that Mosasaurus hoffmannii had extensive osteoderms, some related mosasaurs did possess these structures. If we're being scientifically generous, and assuming that large Mosasaurus individuals could have developed some degree of osteoderm armor. This would have provided exceptional protection along the dorsal surface. However, the underbelly of the Mosasaurus would have been more vulnerable. Unlike the Megalodon's uniformly thick hide, the Mosasaurus needed flexibility in its ventral region for its internal organs, and to allow for the range of motion required by its 4 flippers. This creates an exploitable weakness, but only if an opponent could get into position to attack from below. In terms of pure defensive capability, Megalodon edges ahead slightly due to its more uniform protection and incredibly thick skin. But the Mosasaurus compensates with its next attribute, which might be even more important in a real fight. This is where the Mosasaurus starts to pull ahead. Modern great white sharks can reach burst speeds of about 25 miles per hour, and they achieve this through a combination of their streamlined body shape, powerful tail, and those hydrodynamic denticles we mentioned earlier. Megalodon, being much larger, would have been somewhat slower in terms of top speed, but still impressively fast for its size. Estimates put Megalodon's cruising speed at around 11 miles per hour, with burst speeds potentially reaching 18 to 25 miles per hour when attacking prey. But here's the limitation. Sharks, including Megalodon, are built for straight-line speed. They're like drag racers, incredibly fast in one direction, but not designed for tight turns or rapid direction changes. Megalodon steered primarily with its pectoral fins and tail, and while effective, this system doesn't allow for the kind of three-dimensional maneuverability that a pursuit predator needs when chasing agile prey. The Mosasaurus, on the other hand, was built completely differently. With 4 large paddle-like flippers and a flexible body plan inherited from its lizard ancestors, the Mosasaurus could move in ways that would be impossible for a shark. It could swim forward, backward, sideways, and execute rapid direction changes with minimal loss of momentum. Recent studies, including research conducted for the documentary series Prehistoric Planet, suggest that Mosasaurus could achieve burst speeds of up to 30 miles per hour by using its powerful tail and all 4 flippers in coordinated movements. More importantly, it could reach these speeds quickly, accelerating faster than Megalodon thanks to its multiple propulsion points. In a combat scenario, the Mosasaurus could position itself for optimal attacks, evade counterattacks, and control the engagement distance. It could circle around a slower-turning Megalodon, strike from unexpected angles, and retreat before the shark could respond effectively. This is the difference between a brawler and a martial artist. Raw power matters, but so does the ability to land your strikes while avoiding your opponents. Megalodon was likely quite intelligent for a shark, with a brain-to-body ratio comparable to modern great whites. These animals display problem-solving abilities, can learn from experience, and show sophisticated hunting behaviors. Evidence from fossil records shows that Megalodon targeted specific body parts of its prey. Whale fossils have been found with Megalodon bite marks concentrated on flippers and tails, suggesting that these sharks understood the importance of immobilizing prey before going for a killing bite. Megalodon could assess a situation, identify weaknesses, and execute planned attacks. But the Mosasaurus takes intelligence to another level entirely. Here's why. Mosasaurs were not fish. They were reptiles, specifically marine lizards related to modern monitor lizards and snakes. Modern monitor lizards, particularly species like the Komodo dragon, display remarkable cognitive abilities. They can count, recognize individual humans, solve complex problems, and even engage in play behavior. which is considered a sign of advanced intelligence. Fossil evidence suggests that Mosasaurus possessed similar or even greater intelligence. Their brain cases, preserved in fossil skulls, show enlarged cerebellums and more complex brain structures than typical reptiles. The cerebellum controls coordination, spatial awareness, and learned behaviors. A larger cerebellum suggests greater capacity for complex motor skills and behavioral learning. We have fossil evidence of Mosasaur. Ammonite fossils, ancient squid-like creatures with hard shells, have been found with distinctive Mosasaur bite marks. These marks show that Mosasaurs specifically targeted the shell's weakest points to crack them open, disrupting the ammonite's buoyancy and making them easy prey. Even more remarkably, we find both adult and juvenile Mosasaur tooth marks on the same ammonite fossils, suggesting that parents taught their young how to hunt, a behavior that requires advanced social intelligence and learning capacity. In a prolonged encounter with Megalodon, the Mosasaurus's superior intelligence would become increasingly advantageous. It would learn the shark's attack patterns, identify its weaknesses like the vulnerable gills, and adapt its strategy accordingly. Megalodon, while not stupid, would be operating more on instinct and learned behaviors, whereas the Mosasaurus could actively problem-solve in real time. This might be the most decisive factor of all. Megalodon, like all sharks, extracted oxygen from water through its gills using a process called ram ventilation. The shark had to keep swimming forward constantly, forcing water over its gills to extract oxygen. If a megalodon stopped swimming, it would drown. This isn't a weakness unique to Megalodon. It's a constraint that all large sharks live with. This breathing method has serious implications for combat endurance. While swimming at a steady pace, Megalodon could maintain oxygen levels efficiently. But rapid acceleration, sharp turns, and intense physical exertion would quickly deplete its oxygen reserves. In the real world, we see this reflected in how modern sharks hunt. They typically make one powerful attack run. If that attack succeeds, great. If it fails, the shark usually breaks off and circles back, needing time to recover before attempting another high-energy attack. The Mosasaurus had a completely different system. As an air-breathing reptile, it had lungs, not gills. And lungs specifically evolved for deep diving and extended underwater activity. Modern marine mammals like whales and seals provide us with analogs for understanding how effective air breathing can be in an aquatic environment. Air-breathing animals can store much more oxygen per breath than water-breathing animals can extract from their environment. The Mosasaurus would have had several adaptations to maximize this advantage. First, its lungs could compress large volumes of air into a relatively small space, similar to how a scuba tank works. Second, its blood had a higher concentration of red blood cells capable of carrying more oxygen. Third, marine reptiles often have enlarged organs like kidneys that can store oxygenated blood, essentially giving them an internal oxygen reserve tank. What this means in practical terms is that the Mosasaurus could engage in intense physical activity for much longer periods than Megalodon. It could execute multiple high-speed attacks, rapid direction changes, and sustained combat maneuvers without needing to back off and recover. In a fight, stamina often determines the winner. The fighter who can maintain peak performance longer will eventually overwhelm an opponent who tires first. Who hits harder? Whose bite is more devastating? Paleontologists estimate that Megalodon possessed the most powerful bite force of any animal that has ever lived. Estimates range from 24,000 to 40,000 pounds per square inch, with some calculations pushing even higher at the back of the jaw where the muscles attach. Megalodon teeth were masterpieces of evolutionary engineering. Each tooth measured up to 7 inches long, with a broad, triangular shape that was flat on the outer surface and rounded on the inner surface. This design distributed impact force along the wide blade of the tooth, preventing breakage while maximizing cutting efficiency. When Megalodon attacked, it didn't just bite and hold. It employed a technique called the bite and thrash method. The shark would clamp down with those massive jaws, then violently shake its head from side to side. Estimates put the Mosasaurus bite force at around 13,000 to 16,000 psi, roughly comparable to a Tyrannosaurus rex, but significantly less than Megalodon. Mosasaurus teeth were completely different from Megalodon teeth. Instead of broad, flat cutting blades, Mosasaurus had conical, slightly curved teeth that were robust and designed for piercing and gripping. The largest teeth, located in the middle of the jaw, could reach 6 to 8 inches in length. These teeth were slightly serrated, similar to those of modern killer whales, which use their teeth not primarily for cutting, but for grabbing and holding struggling prey. The Mosasaurus bite strategy was different from Megalodon's approach. Rather than trying to saw off chunks of flesh, the Mosasaurus would pierce deep into its target, then use its incredibly powerful neck muscles to thrash and tear. Its jaw structure was more flexible than Megalodon's. Like its modern snake relatives, the Mosasaurus had a degree of cranial kinesis, meaning parts of its skull could move independently. This allowed it to adjust its bite angle mid-attack and maintain grip on struggling prey. Additionally, the Mosasaurus had a second row of smaller teeth on its palate, the roof of its mouth. These pterygoid teeth acted like a backup gripping system, making it nearly impossible for prey to escape once caught. Megalodon inherited the shark's legendary sensory toolkit. First, there's the sense of smell. Sharks can detect blood in the water at concentrations as low as 1 part per million. For Megalodon, this meant it could detect a Mosasaurus from potentially miles away. Sharks possess specialized organs called ampullae of Lorenzini, small gel-filled pores concentrated around the head and snout. These organs detect electrical fields generated by the muscular contractions of other animals. Every time a fish swims, every time a heart beats, it generates a weak electrical field. Sharks can sense these fields and use them to locate prey, even in complete darkness or when the prey is buried under sand. Sharks also have a lateral line system, a series of sensory organs running along both sides of their body. These detect pressure changes and water movement, essentially allowing the shark to feel vibrations through the water. A large animal swimming nearby would create pressure waves that Megalodon could detect and track. While it's true that shark vision isn't as sharp as that of many other predators, they're quite good at detecting movement and contrasts. Mosasaurus had large eyes, proportionally larger than those of Megalodon. Scaling up from known specimens, a large Mosasaurus would have had eyes roughly the size of grapefruits. It means the Mosasaurus had excellent visual acuity and could track fast-moving objects with precision. In clear water conditions, the Mosasaurus would have a visual advantage over Megalodon, able to see its opponent more clearly and track its movements more precisely. However, the Mosasaurus likely had a less developed sense of smell compared to Megalodon. The Mosasaurus would have compensated with excellent hearing. As a vocal animal that likely communicated with others of its species, it would have needed sophisticated auditory processing. This is the X factor that could completely change our understanding of Mosasaurus combat capabilities. Recent analysis of Mosasaurus genetics and physiology has revealed something fascinating. The Mosasaurus shares certain genetic markers and structural features with modern cetaceans, specifically whales and dolphins. This isn't because they're closely related. It's another example of convergent evolution, where different species independently evolve similar solutions to the same environmental challenges. Many whale species, particularly toothed whales like sperm whales and orcas, possess the ability to generate and use ultrasonic waves. Sperm whales can produce clicks and pulses at frequencies and volumes that are among the loudest sounds made by any animal. Research documented in series like Jurassic Fight Club has explored how prehistoric sperm whales, species like Brigmophyseter, that lived during the same era as some mosasaurs, may have used focused ultrasonic pulses as a hunting tool and defensive weapon. The theory, supported by observations of modern sperm whales, is that these animals can focus their ultrasonic emissions into a narrow beam, essentially creating a sonic weapon that can disorient, stun, or even injure other animals. Now, if the Mosasaurus possessed even a rudimentary version of this capability, it would be a game-changing advantage against Megalodon. Let's put all of this analysis together and walk through how a realistic encounter between these two apex predators would unfold. Both predators are aware of each other's presence. This is where the fight becomes much more complex, and the Mosasaurus's advantages come into play. Neither animal wants to take unnecessary risks. They circle each other, each looking for an opening. Megalodon attempts to use its speed to close distance for a bite. The Mosasaurus, more agile, evades and circles around to the shark's flank. It targets one of Megalodon's pectoral fins, biting down and using its gripping teeth to hold on. The Mosasaurus thrashes violently, its powerful neck muscles tearing at the fin. Megalodon, in pain and unable to turn quickly enough to counterattack, tries to shake the Mosasaurus off. The Mosasaurus releases and immediately repositions, staying in Megalodon's blind spot. It strikes again, this time targeting the gills. The shark, using the force of the impact, now twists enough to tear through the Mosasaur's back flipper. We have entered deep waters, a dark place where the shark can fully capitalize on its advantage. The Mosasaur, injured but not yet defeated, now understands the position of the shark, and both creatures prepare for a direct confrontation. The tough head of the Megalodon is too strong for the Mosasaur to bite through. In a state of panic and exhaustion, the Mosasaur swiftly swims upward, attempting to reach the surface. This gives the shark just enough time to line up its final strike. There's no escaping now. The attack takes shape, a combination of razor-sharp teeth and a powerful body propelled by great speed. The shark successfully lands a strike on the side of the Mosasaur. This kind of attack meets very little resistance. The Mosasaur's fate is sealed in the jaws of the Megalodon. However, no matter the result, it's clear that if these two had inhabited our oceans, we would have witnessed one of the most incredible battles the sea has ever seen. We started this video with a bold claim that we were wrong about Mosasaurus, and I hope I've convinced you that this claim is justified. For too long, popular culture has portrayed Megalodon as the undisputed king of the prehistoric oceans, with all other predators being lesser threats. But when we examine the scientific evidence objectively, when we analyze these animals as complete organisms rather than just focusing on size and bite force, a different picture emerges. This doesn't mean Megalodon wasn't an incredible predator. In the right circumstances, particularly in a successful ambush from deep water, Megalodon could defeat almost any opponent. With only 5% of the ocean explored, do you think anything is possible? Let me know your thoughts. Thank you for watching this deep dive into prehistoric ocean predators. If you enjoyed this analysis, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content where we use science to separate fact from fiction. Drop a comment below telling me which prehistoric predator you'd like to see analyzed next. And if you want to watch another of my videos, check out the one on the screen. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.